favorite things to do is to teach makeup. So especially for you young ladies, I'm so excited that you're about to embark on this new journey into college and everything. That's a very exciting time. And I know you want to be able to go into college with your face beat sometimes every now and then, going to parties or just, going out, hanging out with friends, whatever. So I'm excited to show you a few little tips and tricks and everything. Is anybody going to be like following along and doing their makeup today? Okay. Is it Nadia? Nadia? She's like, her face beat already.
I would have, but I have to go to work soon. So I woke up and did it already.
Yes, we love a working girl. Okay, she got a job. Let me hold something. Just joking. Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10 in the chat, I would love for you all to just drop like how confident you are right now with makeup from a scale like 1, not so good, 10, like you feel, really, really confident. Okay. Drop it in the chat. Okay. Okay. Not bad. Okay. So we got some 10s, we got some 5s, we got 2.5, 3. I can apply tinted moisturizer and do mascara. That's it. Hey, you are doing better than a lot of adults. I'll just tell you that. If you're able to do that, you're doing better than a lot of people, trust me. She's like, I'm gonna make that a 12. Okay, so we got some pros in here. We got some people that feel really confident on what they're doing. So this is gonna be really exciting. Also, I want to know like what you're interested in learning, especially those that feel like you're at a 10 and 12. What are you interested in learning more about, or like what do you want? Is there anything in particular that you want to cover today? Don't say a cut crease because we're not doing that.
Color correct.
Color correction.
Because I have really bad hyperpigmentation, and when I set my face, it's like I'm not doing it right because you can still see some parts to my hyperpigmentation.
Got you. Okay. Let me see. Go to the chat. Having a smoother, so evening out my skin tone, that's great. Having a smoother base for makeup. As a dancer, I need to learn how to do eyeshadow, ways to accentuate your eyes. Okay. Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me. So we'll go ahead and get started. If you're following along, or if you don't have all of the products, that's fine. But I'm basically just going to walk you through how to do a face. So I'll walk you through like skin prep, foundation, highlighting, contouring if you want, but contouring is not like a everyday thing that you have to do, especially if you like running out to class and stuff like that. You don't really necessarily have to contour. Definitely getting a nice flawless base, because for me, I'm a very skin focused artist. So my belief is like, as long as the foundation is correct, like color matched correctly, flawless, then you can pretty much accessorize with everything else. The eyes and the lips, everything will pop. As long as that skin is right, you could do a lot of other things. So let's go ahead and get started. I pretty much already have my skin prepped already, but when you're doing makeup, I know someone said something about getting a flawless base or whatever. The way that your makeup is going to look is going to be very dependent on how well you take care of your skin. So I really want to stress that first. We're not trying to like cover up anything. It's like, if you do have like some acne or anything, that's fine, but the texture of your skin plays a big role in how your makeup actually applies and how it looks. So as long as you're drinking your water, you have like a dedicated, skincare routine, your skin is like on the up and up, you'll start to see better results with your makeup. So skin prep, no matter if you have oily or dry skin, you always, or combination, a lot of us have combination skin with like a little dry in some areas and mainly oily throughout the T-zone. You always want to prep your skin for makeup. So I recommend starting off with some kind of toner. I like this one. It's from Heritage Store. I got it from Ulta, and a lot of other stores carry it. Is this why people do this on YouTube? No. Okay. So this is rose water. So it's just a mist that you could just spray on your face just like that. They also come in like little pads that you can apply to your face, but that just adds some hydration and gets your skin prepared for the makeup. After you do your toner, you want to go in with a primer. So depending on your skin type, like this primer that I have is from Minted Cosmetics, and it's just the perfect primer stick, and it's just going to smooth out my foundation. The primer just gives your foundation something to stick to. So if you're trying to do makeup and you want it to last throughout the day, using a primer will help your makeup last longer than just applying it onto your bare skin. So using a primer like that. I also like this primer from Milk Cosmetics. You can get this in Sephora. This is like my favorite thing that I carry in my kit. And then also, if you have like oily skin, I recommend getting a mattifying primer. So you can use a mattifying primer. This one is from Sephora, but there are a lot of different brands like NYX that have affordable ones, and even higher end brands. Fenty has a mattifying primer too. But I would recommend only applying the mattifying primer in the areas where you get oily. Like if you only get oily like in your T-zone, like around the nose, or yeah, love me some Fenty. If you only get oily in certain areas, then only apply it in those areas and then use the other primer, everywhere else. Am I making sense so far? If I'm not making sense, like feel free to put in the chat. Can you explain that again or unmute yourself? Totally fine. So what we're gonna do next is moisturize. I already have moisturizer on, but let's go ahead and moisturize our face. I'm going to use a little bit of this serum that I have just to add like a little bit of extra, just for the sake of this. So moisturizer. And no matter if your skin is already oily, you still need to moisturize your face. So we're going to do that. And even if you aren't able to follow along today, I'm sure you all will probably get the recording to this, right? Okay. So moisturizer. Then I'm just going to take my primer and just apply this all over my face. And I have a mirror over here too. So if you see me looking over, I'm trying to really see myself in the mirror. But I'm just applying this all over my face. The way I do my makeup is, it's not pretty, but it turns out pretty at the end. So I'm just going to rub this in. And this is more like a smoothing primer. I would say that I have pretty normal skin. I don't get too oily. If I do get oily, it's normally like around my nose. So this is just something for the foundation to be able to stick to, so I could have this face throughout the day. Next thing, after the moisturizer and the primer, someone said, so now we could go ahead and jump into the makeup. So basic skin prep is toning your skin, moisturizer, and primer. That's basic, like the bare minimum that you can do when you're prepping your skin for makeup. So someone mentioned about color correction. I thought that was gonna make a loud noise. Someone mentioned about color correction. So let me go ahead and grab my color corrector. So basically when you're doing color correction, you're just trying to neutralize any hyperpigmentation that you may have. Like I have this spot over here on my face, this dark spot, and it doesn't bother me. So I normally don't color correct it because the foundation normally like covers it up. But if I wanted to color correct it, it would just make sure that when I do put my foundation on, that it's not showing up kind of grayish. Sometimes if you notice if you do have hyperpigmentation, a lot of women of color have hyperpigmentation, like darker around their mouths. Sometimes you'll notice that if you don't color correct and you still put your foundation on, it'll look gray sometimes. So the color correction is basically neutralizing those darker spots so that when you put the foundation, another color on top of that is not mixing together and turning it a different color. Yeah, you have the same one. So this is from LA Girl. This is the Pro Conceal. So if you're color correcting like a dark spot, like dark circles under the eyes, something dark like this, you want to use something that is in the orange family. And it's all like color theory. I won't break it down for you, but basically the orange is what neutralizes the blue tones that are in, these darker spots. So what you can do Normally what I do is I'll apply my foundation first just to see where it gets me before color correcting, or you can do color corrector first and then put the foundation on top. So what I'll do is I'll take a very, very little bit of this. I should have had my little scarf on. Let me see. I'm going to take a little bit of this and just put it on this area. And you can either use your finger, or I put some around my mouth too, just for the sake. I'm not using a lot. You don't have to use too much, because if you use too much, then it'll look like orange is coming out from underneath your foundation. So you don't want to do too much. And the more you practice, and it's always hard to tell you how much or how little when I'm virtual, but the more you practice your makeup, you will learn. You will learn how much and how little to do. So I'm just going to take my sponge and just start to blend that in, and I'm pressing it. So I'm not swiping it. And I always explain blending on a scale of like 1 to 10. Right now, I'm at like a 4. So I'm not like really like beating my face. I'm really just like tapping it to blend it. I'm just gonna do like that. And this one too. Just a little bit, because once I do the foundation, it'll cover that up. So yep, my beauty blender is damp. So just wet it, get it real wet, and just wring all the water out. So it is a little bit damp. Yeah. And this is the Real Technique sponge. I got it from Ulta. It's cheaper than the beauty blenders. Beauty blenders alone are like $20. You could get like 2 of these for 20, or whole 4-pack. So next thing that I'm gonna do, I know some people, yes, it is better. You wanna always use your sponge when you're doing foundation. You always wanna use your sponge when it's damp. It just allows the product to blend better. So what I'm gonna do is, I like cream foundations. I know some people use liquid. So no matter if you're using a liquid or a cream foundation, it's pretty much gonna be the same thing. If you were using a liquid, I would just recommend like dumping some on the back of your hand, or if you have a palette or something, and then just applying it like sporadically all over your face. But what I'm gonna do with this is just take it and just start applying it all over my face in all the areas that I want this color. So this is my all over color, my main foundation color. Yeah, you can spray with, yep, setting spray. Anything you got to do to get that sponge wet is fine. Some people have dark circles under their eyes. You can also color correct under there, depending on how dark your circles are. But like, I be looking crazy, y'all, just like this. You ain't got to do it all pretty. I just do it just like that. And then the next thing that I like to do is take my concealer to highlight. So I'll just apply my all over color like this. And this is how I do my makeup when I'm in a rush. If I have time, it doesn't even matter. I'll take my concealer. And I'm going to tell you the trick about concealer that a lot of people don't know. This is like a pro tip that I teach makeup artists. Concealer is actually what shapes your face. So if you do too much, it'll make your face look bigger. So you have to be very strategic about where you place your concealer to highlight. So what I'm going to do is pop it right here. I'm just going to place it first, and I'm going to explain to you why. All right. So basically, I'm trying to keep all of the concealer in the center of my face. So all here in the center of my face. If I bring this concealer too far out, it's going to make my face look wider, and I already have a round face. Also, when you smile, you don't want to bring your concealer below the high point of your cheek. So you want to keep it like right in this area. If you bring it too far down, it's going to make this area look super big. So you want to keep it right there. Even when you start blending, if you blend down too much, you can always fix it. You can always fix anything with makeup before you set it with powder, so don't panic. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna switch over to this side of my, actually no, I'm going to switch over to this big side of my sponge while the concealer is sitting there. And it depends on what concealer you use too, because some of them dry so fast that if you do let it sit there, it's going to be hard to blend. But this one's not like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and start blending my foundation in. And when you're blending, you want to use a tapping motion if you want to build up the coverage. For places like this under the jaw, if you don't have any discoloration under here, you'll just swipe it. So even if you're a person that like, okay, I want makeup on, but I don't want it to be too full coverage, you can swipe like this. But I want to pat it in so I could build up that coverage. 1 second. Okay. How do you find your right concealer shade? So I would recommend, like, if you're not an artist or anything, I would recommend just going to a place like Sephora or Ulta where they could shade match you. But essentially, what you're trying to do is you're trying to match up the shades that are already present in your skin. So as a rule of thumb, if you want your concealer to be natural, look at like your chest area and try to find a concealer that picks up like those lighter tones that are in your chest. I always tell people too, if you want to go like super duper light, then sometimes you could like look at your wrist because, you know, we don't get that much color down here. So you can look at your wrist to see how light you can really go. But essentially, you're really trying to pick up shades that are already present in your skin so it doesn't look like too off. And in the same like undertone as well. So I'm just going to press. I'm going around that concealer. And just pressing this in so I could build up the coverage and make sure everything is blended. I don't want to see any hard lines or any areas that I missed. Like I said, down here, you can, you know, bring it down under your chin a little bit onto your neck if you need to, so that everything is kind of like blending together. All right. Also, what I like to do is whatever's left on my sponge, I just like to take it and sweep it across my eye, because normally I don't wear eyeshadow, but I'll show y'all how to do some eyeshadow today. I don't wear eyeshadow, so if you don't plan on wearing eyeshadow, make sure you're taking the foundation across your eye, because you don't want to see the difference between like just a bare skin eye and then like foundation. I did that before and I was looking crazy. I don't want that for you. I don't want that for y'all. So, okay. On the other side, this is very important. If you're using a sponge to do your makeup, it's very important that you choose a side for each color that you're using. So this side was for my foundation color. Now I'm going to switch over to this other side of the sponge to blend out my concealer. And the reason is like, it's still makeup on here. So I don't want to be like mixing the colors. That's how things start to become muddy and you're like, I thought my foundation matched when I was putting it on. You might have been mixing up the two colors. I do like the sponges. I do like the sponges over brushes. It just, I don't know, it just does something for me. I think I'm just so used to it now. So when I'm blending out my concealer, what I'm going to do is start on the edges first. And on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm probably at like a 4. So I'm just going to blend out the edges around it very softly, because what I'm trying to do is get those two colors to merge. I'm getting this lighter shade to kind of blend in with the all over shade. So I'll go around it first very lightly. And then I'll go on top and press a little bit better and press it in. And I'm like at maybe a 6 right now. All right. Just like that. We'll do the other side. Is this making sense to y'all so far? My 2s and my 7s and 3s. Y'all gotta send me some pictures. I'm gonna drop my Instagram later so y'all can send me pictures when you do your makeup. All right. I know one of the things that a lot of people don't like when it comes to concealer is when concealer starts to get up under here and crease. And I'll just let you know, creasing is normal, okay? We have creases under our eyes. We have smile lines. If you're like me and you smile all the time, you have smile lines. So the only advice that I can give you as far as the smile lines is just not to put a lot of makeup in this area. As far as the lines up under the eyes, you can minimize it, but you can't, don't let anybody tell you can get rid of the those lines up under there. So the only advice I can give you with that is also to just not put too much makeup right there. That's why when I did my concealer, I should explain this. That's why when I did my concealer, I put it up in this area first, like below my crease. And then when I started to blend it, I blended it up towards my lash line. So it's not too much product sitting up under the eyes. If it's too much product sitting up under the eyes, that's when things start to really, really crease. When you put the powder and you have to use a lot of powder to try to like get the wetness of the concealer down. Just don't use too much in that area if you can help it. Switch back over. And same thing with the forehead. Same thing with the forehead in the concealer. If you bring your highlight, if you're highlighting your forehead and you're blessed like me with a lot of forehead, if you bring this center part up too high, it's going to make your forehead look bigger. So that's why I'm only concentrating it in this little area right here. You don't want to bring it past, like if you have a slope of your forehead, you don't want to bring it past the slope of your forehead. So just keep it very nice and cute right here. Don't do too much. But if you don't have a large forehead, you get away with, bringing the concealer up a little bit higher. So I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm just going to blend around the center. Let me see. I don't know what happened. And then go into the center of it and blend it out like that. Okay. Any questions so far? Because now we're about to set it. So this is foundation and highlight. We're about to set it with powder so we can lock in all of that hard work. I don't necessarily go into the whole like highlighting my nose and all of that stuff. It's not very necessary. It's not necessary. I was about to tell y'all something. Oh, I mean, most of y'all are good with your makeup already, so you probably already know this, but you do have to set your foundation with powder. A lot of adults that I deal with, they're like, oh my gosh, my makeup is always sliding off my face. It doesn't last throughout the day. The secret is you have to use powder to set your foundation. And a lot of people surprisingly don't know that. So I'm just making sure that you know that. So what I'm gonna do is just take a translucent powder. Translucent powder is a powder that has no color to it. It's just like a white powder. Is universal. You can use it anywhere, any skin tone can use it. This is the Dermablend powder. I got this you can get this at Ulta, and I think Sephora may carry it as well, but it's a nice like mattifying primer. It's going to keep your foundation set. Yeah, I do like a natural eye look. I'll show y'all just like the gist of how to do an eye look, because once you know the basics of creating the eye, you can switch up the colors for it to be natural or, bold, however you want it to be. So what I like to do first is just take my sponge. So first you want to make sure before you set your foundation that everything is blended to your liking, because once you set it, that's it. It's going to be very hard to fix any hard lines or anything like that you may have once you set your foundation. So what I'm going to do is just make sure I don't have any concealer sitting in the lines under my eyes. I'm just blending out very softly. I have my powder. I have my powder sitting in this cap right here. I'm just going to take some on my sponge, tap it off a little bit. Like that, and start pressing it in to set under my eye. All right. You can also do this with a brush. If you do this with a brush, I would recommend using something small like this, a small brush like this that is able to fit, up under your eye. I wouldn't recommend using something like this big because that's just too big to really be, precise. Small tools, work really, really well. Or you can use your sponge as I'm doing. All right. And I'm just pressing that into my skin. You want to press it in. All right. I'm going to do the same thing for my forehead. And you can totally set your whole face. I don't know why I do this. I set like my highlighted areas with my sponge, and then I'll go with like a fluffy brush like this to set the rest of my face. You do the same thing? I see you shaking your head. You do the same thing. So you want to use a fluffy brush because fluffy brushes don't pick up a lot of product at one time. If you were using something that was really like something like this, the bristles are so tight that if you were to apply powder onto your face with this, it would literally like be stamping powder like all over your face. So you want to use something that is like really fluffy so you can dip it in your powder and always tap off the extra. You see all that powder? I don't know if y'all can see that, but it's powder like dropping out of there. You just kind of want to work with like the residue that's left in the bristles. So after that, you're just going to take that and press it into your skin. Don't swipe because you'll be moving the foundation that you just put down. All right. Tap it off and just press the foundation press the powder, into your skin. Doing your makeup is always better. We got some music playing. Get into the groove. We move into the beat. All right, tap, tap, tap. Make sure you just tap in that off. All right. So now our foundation is set. Don't forget to go over your eyes. If even if you plan on wearing eyeshadow, still go over the eyes. Everything is set. So this is highlight, foundation and highlight. I'll show y'all how to contour really quick with a powder. You can contour with like concealers and cream products as well and blend it and then, set it with the powder. That's another option. But if you're trying to be quick, I like to set my stuff with powder. So same thing, the young lady asked earlier about choosing a concealer shade. The same thing with the contour. But because I have on like a full shirt right now, you can't really see. But a lot of the times, even in the summertime, you'll notice that like your shoulders are a little bit darker than the rest of your body because the sun is hitting it. Even before I put on foundation just now, my forehead naturally is a lot darker than the rest of my face. So it's like if you're just putting on one shade of foundation, you're kind of covering up all of those different dimensions that we have in our skin as women of color. We have like these lighter tones, these darker tones. We just, so yummy. We have to like reinforce those things when we're putting on makeup. And contouring is an optional thing, but it just helps to like accentuate your features a little bit more because you cover it up some things. So I'm just going to take this darker shade from Fashion Fair, and I'm going to use that as my contour powder for my contour powder. I'm going to use another fluffy brush. As you see, I've been using this one. Just going to take another fluffy brush because again, we don't want to be stamping on the product. We want to be able to have it like evenly distributed the way that we want. So I'm just going to take my brush and dip it in here. And the trick about contouring is that it has to start from somewhere. So when you're contouring your forehead, you want to get as close as you can to your hairline. So I was joking, tell people like, I feel like you should like lay your baby hairs or stuff like that after you do your makeup, because if you lay it before, it's gonna be real hard to, get in there. So what I'm gonna do is get as close as I can to my hairline and just tap that product in. So I want to start in my hairline first and work from like temple to temple. And then we're going to start to like fade it down. So tap, tap, tap. I don't know if y'all can see that. You see the difference? And especially if you have a forehead like mine, the contouring is going to kind of create an illusion that it's a little smaller, just a little bit. We're not ashamed of our foreheads, but we don't want it to be the star of the show. So I'm just working that into as close as I can to my hairline right now.
So what bronzer or contour palette do you recommend?
I would recommend trying like the Fashion Fair powders. Also, what's that brand? Black Radiance has a palette that works like really, really good with different contour shades in it. If you're an artist, I would recommend like palettes, but if it's just, your makeup, I would just get whatever shade that you need because you don't need all of those colors for yourself, but just finding like any darker powder that you can find. Let me think, what other brands?
Do you like the Juvia's Place one?
I do like Juvia's Place. Juvia's Place, I love that brand. Yeah, so if you can find the shade.
Good, like it kind of scares me a bit because like when I went to Ulta Beauty to try it looked a bit thick and I'm like, I don't know.
You say it looked thick?
Yeah, like their foundation, it looks heavy.
Yeah, I mean, if it is, it's always ways to like, thin it out, or you could just control the coverage yourself by not using too much. Because some of those foundations, the consistency is it's thick, but you can control that. You could thin it out with like moisturizer or oil, or just not use like too much. So y'all see that? So what I want to do is start to blend this down to wrap around like my highlight. So instead of being like very like aggressive, like how I was up here, I'm like at probably like an 8, 9, 10 right now, the way I'm pressing this powder in. Now I'm going to soften my hand. And the way you can soften your hand is also just to move your hand down the handle of the brush. So it's not so, you're not holding it too tight, and just like start to tap. And as I'm tapping, I'm kind of like going in a circular motion because I want to start to bring it down to come around that highlight that I put. So I'm just being very light-handed, using whatever's left on the brush just to soften my hand. All right. In the mirror. Same thing with the cheeks. If you want your cheekbones to pop, you want the contour to start from the back of the ear. And you can do the fishy face if you want, but I always tell people, if you touch right here from the back of your ear and come at a diagonal, you can feel your cheekbone. So that's exactly where you want to put, your contour. You want to put it right there. For a natural look, you don't want to bring it past the corner of your eye. So I'm just going to like, you don't want to bring it like too far, depending on the look you're going for. I like to keep it natural. And I don't do too much. All right. Some people like wrap it, so you can really accentuate that cheekbone, and then they take some powder, like a lighter powder to really make it pop. It's all up to you. All right. Sometimes I'll take my brush and like pinch it and just like bring it on the side of my nose, just to add like a little bit of definition, but I'm not necessarily like trying to contour my nose. I think my nose is cute. So I don't want to change like the shape of my nose or anything like that. So now that we're finished with, the foundation, we got our foundation color, we got our highlight, we got our contour. And as you see, when I put that contour beside the highlight, it pops more because of the contrast. Whereas before you might not have been able to, it might have looked a little too natural with just the foundation and the highlight. But now with the contour, you can really see it. She said, I love contouring my nose. That's totally fine. Do it, girl. If you could do it, do it. sometimes, and it just depends. Like for every day, I don't feel like I need to be, giving them too much. But if I'm going out or something like that, and I'm taking pictures, especially if you like plan on taking pictures and stuff, go ahead, contour your nose if you want to define it a little bit more so it can, show off in the camera. But if you just go into class, you could chill. So what I'm gonna do is just take the same brush that I use to powder, set my face with the powder. It has nothing else on it right now, but what I'm going to do is just go in between, like those in between places, like between the highlight and the contour. I just like to tap on them just to like blend them down even more because I'm just so terrified of just like having like hard lines and stuff. She said I do too much with that. I mean, it is fine because one day you go look back at your pictures and be like, oh my God, like I can't believe I used to do my makeup like that. One day I had those pictures where I'm like, what were you thinking? But it's a part of the journey. Like we all have those pictures where we look back at it with makeup and we thought we was doing it at that time. And then you come back like, oh my gosh, why did nobody tell me I was looking crazy? You might not look crazy, but makeup is going to evolve. It's going to evolve and your skill set is going to evolve too. So I just like to go on those in-between areas and just tap it just to make sure I don't have any hard lines because that's not what we want. It's a part of it. If you're wearing makeup, you have to expect to look crazy, especially if you don't know what you're doing. Like that's how you get better. Like you have to start. We all have to start somewhere. Trust me. Even Rihanna. Okay, I'm pretty sure she got some pictures where she was like, yeah. He said, yeah, I love a good white in the corner of my eye. Yeah. And then that trend might not be popping, 10 years from now. So you'll look at your pictures and be like, oh my gosh, what? So next thing that I like to do is my brows. And honestly, I'll let y'all know, my brows is the least favorite thing that I like to do for myself, for my makeup. But I can tell you the structure of a brow, like the way it's supposed to be laid out, and then you can kind of like play around with it yourself. Brows is one of those things that you do have to practice, just like makeup, but you do have to practice. So don't expect to get it right away. I like using brow pencils because for me, it just gives me a lot more control over what I'm doing. You can use like those brow pomades and things like that, like Anastasia has. You'll just have to use it like with a brush and everything. Ooh, will I put on lashes? If you want me to, look. If you want me to put on lashes, I will. So what I'm gonna do is show you the way a brow is supposed to be structured. Hold on real quick. So the architecture of a brow. If I take this brow pencil and I put it on the side of my nose, technically my brow is supposed to start right there. Now, some people's brows may start like over here somewhere. So if you wanted to and not look crazy, you can bring it a little bit further in for it to start right here at the corner of the nose, right? So from the corner of the nose, if you take this pencil and do a diagonal through the pupil of your eye, just like that, you'll find your arch. So my arch is pretty much where it's supposed to be, the high point of the brow. And then you never want to bring the tail of your brow past the corner of your eye. So as long as you're not bringing it all the way down here, even if it falls a little bit short, that's fine. But you never want to bring it past the corner of your eye. So mine is pretty much almost where it's supposed to be. Because my right brow is my favorite brow, I'm going to do it first. Yeah. She said, I do my brows first because it's a process for me. I love doing mine. And I want to challenge you one day when you have some time, do your foundation first and then do your brows just to see how it looks. Because sometimes I notice that when you do foundation first, just from an artistry standpoint, when you do foundation first and then you do your brows, you'll notice that you don't have to go as hard with your brows because you have like this backdrop of the foundation. You'll notice like, oh, maybe I don't have to use as much product and everything, but just try it out. So what I like to do is I like to lift my brow to see it. So I like to draw out my shape first and then like fill it in. And I'm going to use like very, very short like strokes like this. So I'm not trying to like draw a brow or anything like that. I'm going to be like using like little, like take your time. There's no rush. So I like to lift up my brow and go under it first. And I'm going, and I pretty much already have a brow. So like I said, I'm doing short strokes just to carve out the shape that I want. And I normally try to be so precise when I'm drawing my brows because I honestly suck at doing my brows on myself. On my clients, I can do it. I can clean it up with the concealer and, you know, get that precise brow. But for me, I don't practice my brows enough to be able to do that. So when I'm drawing my brows, I like to be as precise as possible so that I don't have to go back with the whole concealer.
We have a question from Nadia.
Where's the question?
Oh, it wasn't so much a question as like a realization, because when you
Okay.
said like, put your like brow pencil or like brow thing up like against your nose, I never realized that. Like I was always doing my eyebrows because I don't have that much, but I didn't realize when I did it and it lined up. I was like,
That means you do it.
oh, I was like, that's why I was doing it like that.
Awesome. I'm happy to hear that. Yeah. So I'm going to do the same thing at the top too. And as you continue to do your makeup, you'll realize like little tips and stuff that works for you. I'm just going to go on the top as well and draw out my shape. And then whatever is left, you can just fill it in. So that's up to you if you want your brows to be super dark. I'm using the NYX pencil in Espresso right now. So this is like a dark brown. The step down from that is chocolate, the shade chocolate, which is like a little bit of a lighter brown, but it's still, you know, dark enough. And then just short strokes again to fill in the brow. Because what you're trying to do is like mimic hair strokes. They also have brow pencils too that look like liner that creates like little hair strokes as well. So depending on how, you know, how deep you want to get into it. When it comes to the front of the brow, I'm very, very light-handed because I want the brow to kind of fade from light to dark. So I don't want to have like a little like a thick spot in the front. I'm being very light-handed in the front and going upward because that's the way that my brow hairs grow in the front. I'm not going to do too much. So I feel like once I start getting carried away with my brows and they start looking very uneven because my left brow is already naturally higher than my right one. So I always have to cheat it up. And they always say your brows are sisters, not twins. So you can try to get them as identical as possible, but it's okay if it's not exactly precise. They're sisters, they're not twins. I like to joke and say that mine are cousins that fight at the cookout. They don't like each other because it'd be a struggle. Let me try to go ahead and bang this one out real quick. Yeah, a simple brow, lash, and lip. Hey, sometimes that's all you need, girl. And this is just for, you know, if you want to jazz it up. I don't actually wear makeup on a regular basis. How y'all saw me at the beginning of this tutorial is how I look 90% of the time. I don't really wear makeup. As a makeup artist, I know. It's not necessarily my lifestyle. And I had my eyes like microbladed, so it's fading out right now. So I'm kind of just like following what was already there. I can fill in All right. If you have thicker brows, or if you want your brow hairs to stay in place throughout the day. I pride my brows with being sisters. If you want your brow hairs to stay in place, you can use like a brow gel. This one is from Essence and it works really well. I think this thing was like $2 at Ulta. A lot of brands carry different brow gels now. So I like these for keeping the brow hairs in place throughout the day. If your brow hairs are like mine and they start moving, I used to wonder, I would take pictures, I would do my makeup, I would take pictures and be like, why is my brow hair like down when I just did my brows? And it was because I wasn't using something like hold them in place. So I just like to brush them up. After I'm done, I'll probably go back and play with my brows a little bit more later, but we're just going to move on. All right. So just for the brows, I used a brow pencil from NYX. You can get this pretty much at any beauty supply store here. I'm not sure the other states, but something like a Sally or Ulta. Most beauty supply stores carry the NYX brand, and this is in the shade Espresso, or I would recommend the shade Chocolate as well. Yeah, based on the people that I see on here, I think either Chocolate or Espresso will work good for you. And then also the brow gel that I use is from a brand called Essence. It's called Lash and Brow. It's a clear gel. It's called a gel mascara, but it's a clear brow gel that you can use to hold your brow hairs in place. All right, so eyeshadow. How do I want to show you this? Okay, I have so many products like laying around. Let's see what I have. I think I have like you know what I'm gonna use? I'll show you two things. You're welcome. So when you're doing your eyeshadow, you definitely want to use an eyeshadow base or something on your eye for the eyeshadow to stick to, just like how we did with the foundation. We used the primer. Eyeshadow base or eyeshadow primer is going to do the same thing for your eyeshadow. Just give it something to stick to. So whether you want to take, like if you don't have an eyeshadow primer, whether you want to take a tiny bit, like the thinnest amount of your concealer and put it on your eye, you can do that as your base and apply the eyeshadow on top. That is not what I meant to pull out. NYX, this is from out of my makeup kit, so you have to excuse me. But NYX also has like a nude color eyeshadow base that you can apply all over your eye. And then another option that you can use, I have a lot of NYX stuff because it's affordable. I like stuff that is affordable but still works. NYX also has these jumbo eye pencils in different colors. And this one is like a bronzy shade. This can also be used as an eyeshadow base as well, or it could be used by itself, but I like to use this as an eyeshadow base and then go back in with a color that is similar on top. So if you're using like bright colors, if you like colorful eyeshadow and things like that, I would recommend using like this type of eyeshadow base, or they also have a white, just depending on what color you're doing. So let's see. Let's use this one. What I'm gonna do is, because this is not mine, I have to scoop it out. But if it was yours, you can just go ahead and, dip into it with your brush. I'm gonna find me a flat eyeshadow brush. You like those? We got our makeup girls in here. Need a flat. Okay, we'll use this brush. So I'm going to use a flat eyeshadow brush. You want to use a flat brush that the hairs are pretty tight together, very dense. And I'm just going to take a little bit of that eyeshadow base. You don't need a lot. And I'm just going to apply that all over my eye. All right. Thinnest amount. Dang, I wish I knew what I was wearing today, because I would probably try to do something that matches my outfit. I don't even know what I'm gonna wear today. So the thinnest amount, and I'm bringing it a little bit above my crease. And your crease is right where your eye socket like starts to fold in, not necessarily where your eye creases. So that's the trick, because we can't go into different eye shapes and everything like that. But if I were to just put eyeshadow where the fold starts to happen, you wouldn't see anything. It would just be like a little slither of eyeshadow right there. So my crease is actually where my socket starts to like fold in. That makes sense. So I'm gonna bring the eyeshadow base all the way up there. You can use your finger if you need to for a lot of these things. It just depends. All right. Like I said, the thinnest amount, you don't want too much, because then you'll find that you're using a lot more eyeshadow just to make the primer not look shiny anymore. All right. Little trick that you can do for my girls who normally do their eyes first, and it's no right or wrong way. I'm just showing you all how I do my makeup. Because some people like to do their eyes first, because if they do their foundation and then they do eyes, then the eyeshadow might like fall on their face and mess up their foundation. So what you can do is take some powder and sit it on your skin like this. And I'm not baking, so I'm not pressing this into my skin. I'm literally at a 1 and just putting the powder on my face like this. Because if I do my eyeshadow and it starts to fall into my face, it's going to fall in this area, and I could just take the brush and brush it away. So that is a little pro tip for you. All right, so what I like to do is I like to start with my crease color first. So this is the basics of just a regular eye. You have a lid color, a crease color, and possibly some kind of liner sometimes. So normally what I would do is just take my contour shade, same contour shade if I was doing like a natural eye. Take my same contour shade that I use, because this is a powder. So in my eyes as a makeup artist, like this is just a big old eyeshadow because it's still a powder. So I'm just gonna take this, tap it off, and then start to apply this darker shade into my crease. Now my crease is up here, not where that line is. So I'm just
what kind of brush do you use for that part?
So this is just like a fluffy crease brush.
Okay.
Morphe has them. Well, Morphe about to go out of business. So I don't know. You might want to grab some Morphe brush from Ulta before they shut down.
I just bought a bunch of brushes on Amazon, so.
Okay, yeah, any fluffy brush. I have so many of them. Because remember, the fluffy brush is just like the big fluffy one is going to allow you to like really stretch out that color, so it's not like just stamping on. So I'm just going like back and forth in my crease. Okay. And this is just kind of like to give it shape. And I'm just showing you like the basics of an eye, because once you know the basics, which is like crease, lid, liner, you can do a purple in the crease and a pink on the lid. You can do, you can play around with the colors however you want to get creative. So I'm just going to do that. Here's my little napkin. I'm going to wipe it off a little bit on a napkin, and then go against the edges so that I don't have any like hard line. I'm just going to go against the edge of that just to soften it. Or if the hard line is your thing, just own it. But I'm going to like blend out the edge of that. Okay. Now, what did I do with that brush? Oh, it's right here. I'm going to take this Juvia's Place palette. You always have that one palette that you buy just for like one specific color. This palette, I bought it for this color. I just love this color right here. But I'm going to use like this bronzy shade. So just like how we picked up our powder earlier and we had to tap it off, you do the same thing and get my eyeshadow. and tap it off. I wish you could see how much eyeshadow is falling off of my brush. If you don't tap it off, that's why a lot of people get fallout onto their face, because you have to tap off that extra. I really wish y'all could see that. So same thing how we did our foundation and we want to build up that color. Same thing with the eyeshadow. You want to press it in. Okay. Press it in, you'll get the most color payoff. Okay. You can get some more if you want. And you just keep on building on top of it until you get the color payoff that you want. So I'm going to bring this color up to my crease, because if you have what is considered a hooded eye, like how I have, if you only keep the color, imagine if I only put the eyeshadow right here and I didn't bring it up a little further, it would just be like, it'd be okay, but it wouldn't really pop. You wouldn't really see it that much with my eyes open. So for me, I had to cheat the color up all the way up here so that when my eyes are open, you can still see it. Yeah. And there's other people who just have such, prominent lids that they don't have to do that. But if you have an eye like mine, you're going to have to cheat the color up so that you can see it when the eye is open. I'm just bringing that over to the corner. We're doing great on time. All right. Just like that, very simple. So that is a crease color and a lid color. I'm gonna go back with my same fluffy brush that I used, and I'm gonna go in between the crease color that I did and that actual lid color, just to soften that line. Like if you're not trying to do a cut crease, then you wanna soften the line. But if you're doing a cut crease and you want the line to be hard, then you can just leave it, but I'm just gonna soften it. I think I'm very like at a 2 right now with the amount of pressure that I'm using, because I'm not trying to move the product. I'm just trying to soften the line so you don't have to use a lot of pressure. All right. You can also use another color in between if you wanted to kind of create that transition. All right. So that's basically it. Crease color, lid color. Like I said, you can get creative and do a different color on the lid, different color in the crease. Your school colors when homecoming comes, like all those good things. Next thing I'm going to do is line my eyes. You can either use like an actual eyeliner pencil, but I'm going to use like this, what is it called? What exactly is this type of liner called? It's just like an ink liner. I like using this. Stuff like this is really cool if you want to use it for like, if you're like into wing eyeliners, you could do a wing eyeliner with this. I'm only going to do one eye for the sake of time. So get as close as you can to your lash line. And just like when we were doing the brows, you want to do like short strokes. Don't try to just do one straight line. That's going to be like super hard. So sometimes I just like to pull my eye so I can really see. It's so hard to like, I mean, a lot of y'all said y'all were good with y'all makeup already, but I'm actually like pulling my eye, but I'm looking in the mirror with my left eye to see what I'm doing. So get as close as you can to the mirror. I like the line to be a little bit thinner in the front and then get thicker. Okay. And eyeshadow is not my thing. I think for me, I just feel like a girl playing dress up. And my big
The hardest part for me is like the eyeliner. I absolutely hate it.
For real? Yeah, you just gotta practice. I could do eyeliner. I normally do my makeup the way I just showed y'all. And then I'll do like a wing liner and play around with that. With the eyeshadow, I just be feeling like I'm dressing up. I don't know. It just feels weird to me. I might do like a little tiny wing. Y'all, why is it snowing? It was just like 80 degrees this week and now it's snowing. All right. So that is it. You can also do liner like in the, water line. Not this type of liner though. You would want to use like an actual pencil liner. This liner will get all up in your eye. You want to use, where is that thing at? I only have the brown one in front of me. But you would want to use like an actual pencil liner in your eye, not a liquid one. That's going to be a mess. All right. Or you don't have to line your eyes. Really is up to you. What I've been doing lately, top. What I've been doing lately is just mascara at the bottom. So let me just wipe this powder away. So if I did have eyeshadow that fell into that powder, I would just dust it away. And it doesn't mess up anything that I've done already. All right. So I'm gonna do mascara. I like mascara at the top and the bottom. Sometimes you don't even realize you have bottom lashes until you put mascara. You're like, oh, I got a little something going on down there. So at this point, you can stop, like with the eyes, you could do, mascara. You could put on a lash if you want. I will show you all how to put on a lash if you want. Or the idea of putting on a lash. But sometimes I don't do bottom liner. I just make sure that my mascara is like touching my bottom lash line. So it gives the illusion that I have on liner, but that's it. Any methods to prevent it from smudging? You just gotta be careful. I'm not sure. And make sure it's dry before you do anything. Like before you move on to the next step, just make sure it's dry. And the trick with mascara too, if you happen to get anything, because I do this to myself and my clients sometimes you'll get like mascara on your face or somewhere. Don't try to clean it up right away. Wait for it to dry. And then you can take something like a mascara wand that has nothing on it, or like the back, that brush area on your brow pencil, and scrape it off. Don't try to move it when it's wet though, because it's gonna smudge everywhere. Just wait till it's dry, then you can literally like just scrape it off. But that's that.
So you put mascara on before you did like setting spray. Is the setting spray gonna affect it in any way? Like will it smudge or anything?
It's never happened to me before. I won't say no, but I would just say it's never happened to me before. Because the mascara should be dry by that point. So next thing I want to do is just the finishing touches, which is highlighter. I do like this highlighter palette from Minted Cosmetics. It has like 4 different shades in it. I normally use this one and this one combined. I just want to tell y'all something real quick. I just got to show y'all this just for giggles. Look what happened to my mascara, not my mascara, my other highlighter palette. You see this? I was like, it's a death in the family. And I posted it on Instagram and the brand sent me a brand new one. So sometimes you just get lucky. If you post about it, they sent me a whole brand new one. I was just holding on to this one until the other one came just to make sure I had a little something to use, but I just got it in the mail the other day. I'm going to use my same fluffy brush. I like using fluffy brushes or like little fan, right? So crazy. It jumped out of my makeup bag. I was like, you just didn't want to be with me anymore. It jumped out of my makeup bag and ended his life. Either a fan brush or just something fluffy. When I'm doing my own makeup, I just use the same brush that I use for my powder and kind of dip back and forth into that. And highlighter on the high points of the cheeks. I'm not necessarily a blush girl. I like to glow. So I just use like a whole bunch of highlighter. Just like that. If you did want to wear blush, blush will go on the apples, the round part of the cheek, and you would just blend it back into your contour. But I literally always get compliments on my glow anytime I use this palette, because yeah, it's nice. I like it because it's not like really chunky. And I'll take whatever's left on my brush and kind of like dust it on my forehead, tip of my nose, and my chin. Not necessarily like the dot that people were doing like a few years ago with the highlighter. I just like dust it on my nose, forehead, anywhere that you want the light. When the light hits it and you want to glow, that's where you would put your highlighter. So naturally, when you turn your face and the light is hitting the high point of your cheekbone, it's going to make the highlighter glow. All right. And then to finish it off, lip gloss, lipstick, lip liner if you want. I think those things are pretty straightforward. I'm just gonna put some gloss on really quick. Did y'all want to see about the lash? Because we have like a little bit of time. Okay. I will show you. Everything that I use is not everything. A lot of things that I use are from the beauty supply store. Very affordable. These cherry blossom 3D silk lashes. I got them from my local beauty supply store and I like them. I use them in my kit. So what I'm going to do is just take it off of the packaging. I've worn these lashes probably like 3 times already. So you can reuse lashes as long as you're taking them off and you're putting it back onto some kind of packaging that has, or holder that has like the shape, just to maintain the shape. You can use your lashes more than once. So what you want to do is take it off. And lashes, I'm not gonna lie to you, you have to practice. It took me a year after I was a makeup artist. And I still remember that day. I put my lash on for the first time, no fuss. And I was like, yes. And it's kind of been on and popping since then. The lashes, you kind of have to find your own way that works for you, but I'll tell you what works for me. You take it off the packaging. And if you never used it before, you kind of just like sit it on your eye, like sit it there, because sometimes when you put on a lash, it may be too long. So if the lash is too long, and I can't show you with these. I don't have another pair of lashes in front of me. But normally you can tell, like if you get a pair of lashes from, say this is like the pack of lashes from the beauty supply, and the lashes here and here, like side by side, because these are a little bit different and I had to figure out which one was the right and the left. But if you had the pack of lashes and this is the lashes like facing you, this would be the right eye and this would be the left eye. So with it facing away from you, you can tell which eye it belongs to. So if the lash is too long, you want to clip off the amount of length that you don't need from the end of the lash. Don't clip it from the front. Clip it from the end. Please, 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 please do not use track glue on your lashes. I repeat, track glue does not belong on your eye. You can seriously, like, if I don't even want to say if you know what you're doing, but you can seriously hurt yourself because just think about how much glue you may need, or just the power of that glue to glue down a weft onto like, you know, a wig cap or something like that. It has to be very strong. That type of power does not belong on your eye. I've heard horror stories. So if you lose some lashes, if you go blind, you glue your eye shut, remember I told you not to do that, okay? So we have some very good lash glues on the market. The Kiss I Envy lashes. Yes, girl, get your bestie together, honey. I like the clear one, not the clear one, the white one. It dries down clear. They also have a black one. But what I'm gonna do is just put like a tiny, like thin amount on top of the lash band, okay? Sometimes with these lashes, depending on how they're made, I put like a tiny bit on the back of it too, but I'm still like on the lash band. But I just want to cover all bases just so that when the lash actually gets onto my eye, it sticks. Another pro tip that I can share with you is if you're using, it'll be easier if you're using a lash glue like this that has the little brush. What you can do as well is take a little bit of that glue and put like a few dots like on your lash line. So your lash line is like where your lashes are starting to come out. You can take a few dots and put it on your lash line too, so that when you put the lash on, it kind of acts like a magnet and it like meets each other. So what you want to do is just let this glue dry for about 15 to 20 seconds, or you can like wave it to like speed up the process. If it's your own personal lash, you can blow on it. If you ever get your makeup done and you see the makeup artist doing this, it's not okay. I'm just letting you know. They should not be blowing on a lash that they're about to put on your eye. But if it's your own lash, you can blow on it. You can wave it in the air. All right. And you'll start to see like the texture of the glue change. It's kind of hard to, I don't know if y'all can see, but the texture of the glue starts to, it starts to look a little bit more clear and not as white. So that's how you know it's ready to go. You just want it to be, it's going on my voice. You just want it to be tacky. So you don't want it to dry down too much. You just want it to be tacky. I like to give it a little zhuzh like this so it can maintain the little circular shape. You can take some tweezers, lash applicators. Some people can use their fingers, which is totally fine. And what you want to do is find a way to look in the mirror where you can actually see your lash line. For me, I'm looking at an angle into the mirror and I'm using my left eye to look at my right eye. And I'm trying to sit this lash right in the center. You see how it's kind of hanging off though? So once I get it right down on my lash line in the center, now I can take my tweezers and I like to pull my eye so I can really see my lash line right there. I like to pull my eye so I can sit it right on my lash line. Some people, it works good for them if they have a mirror like this, a compact, and they look down into the mirror because they can see their lash line when they're looking down into the mirror. But for me, I like an angle, like looking at another type of mirror. And what you can also do is just take your fingers once it's on there and just like press it down even further. But it takes practice. It takes lots of practice to figure out what works for you. You can see the difference that a lash does to the eye. This is a very natural lash, okay? But that is pretty much it. I'm more of like a lipstick girl, so normally I just wear a bold lip and leave everything else, simple. I love lipsticks, but this is the finished look per se. Do y'all have any questions, any comments?
What's your favorite product that you own?
My favorite product that I own is this lipstick. Is this lipstick from a brand called the Bold brand. It's called Frenchman Street. It's like a nice orange shade. I love lipstick. Yeah, that's probably like my favorite. Like that, and Fenty has a gloss called Hot Chocolate. Like if you could get your hands on it when they actually have it in stock, that thing flies off the shelf so fast. But I love that gloss. Like it's so nice.
Wait, is it the one in the tube?
Mm-hmm.
I think I have it.
You do?
I think so, yeah. When Ulta first came to, is it this one?
No, I wish I had my purse close. It's like one of those.
It's like in one of these.
Yeah.
Oh, it's one of those. Oh, okay. No, I like this one.
It's so good.
I lost mine. I only got.
Any other questions?
Questions, comments.
I need to finish this other eye. We'll take this one off so I'm not looking crazy.
Do you have a favorite black-owned specifically brand?
Yeah, so a lot of the brands that I use today were Black owned. So my foundation, my primer, my foundation and concealer is from Minted Cosmetics. If you use my first and last name, Akua Robinson, you can get 10% off, little plug. Danessa Myricks is another brand that I like. She's a makeup artist, one of my mentors, but she has y'all would love her products because it's a lot of fun. Her products are very fun, colorful, can be used in like multiple ways. What else? The lip bar. I just went to an event of hers. I just went to an event of hers on Sunday and got all this stuff. And the lip bar is in Target. So I got to do the ladies' makeup. I was so tickled. I got to do the brand owner's makeup. So these lipsticks like this. And then she also has like these duochrome eyeshadow, what are they called? Liquid eyeshadows. So even using like stuff like this on your eyes, if you don't want to do like this whole thing that I just did, just getting like a cream eyeshadow or stuff like this could be really fun because they like actually like shift colors. Like this has like purple, like the main color is like purple, but it has like blue and green, like depending on like how the light hits it. So lip bar, I have a lot of Black owned products that I like, but like, yeah, Minted Cosmetics, the lip bar, the Nessa Myricks, Fashion Fair, like they're doing it. Even the color I mentioned earlier from the Bold brand, that's a Black owned brand as well. Yep. Out here doing it. How long does this process usually take for a full natural face? For me, without doing my eyeshadow, because I told you I don't really wear eyeshadow, I could do my makeup in like 15 minutes. Like if I wasn't talking to you all and walking through it, the more you do it, it becomes like muscle memory. Because I always used to feel like, how do I know like what comes next and what product to pick up next or what brush to use? Like the more you do it, it's like a rhythm. So you can really even find like shortcuts for yourself. Just like how I showed you all how I do my foundation. That's pretty much like a shortcut of just like putting everything where it needs to be and then blending it all out instead of just putting the foundation, blend it out, put concealer, blend it out, just put everything where it needs to be and, blend it all out at the same time. So you'll find your own rhythm.
Well, ladies, if we don't have any more questions, we just want to thank you, Akua, for coming on here, for doing this for your third time. Like, we are very thankful at the Miss HBCU Team Pageant for the time that you dedicate to our wonderful queens. I know that they took a lot from it, but not just them. I took a lot from it. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. This is my personal Instagram, so follow me. Send me a selfie when you do your makeup. I want to see if you all are. Well, I don't know if everybody's competing in the pageant, but if you are, I'll be at the pageant next week. Rooting you all on. It's gonna be my first time attending a pageant, so I'm excited for y'all. So follow me, stay connected. Yeah, have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye.
I loved it. I was really excited for this one because I love doing my makeup. So I wanted to see what I can improve in and what tips or anything I could do. I'm glad she did eyeshadow, considering I had already done like my base and everything. Okay. So I could at least go along with it.
That's perfect. Oh,
I think that she's great at explaining things. She made it pretty simple for us to understand.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, Selena, but Miss District of Columbia, we cannot hear you. You're not on mute, but we can't hear you. Go ahead, Selena. We can.
Okay. I liked it. It felt like watching a YouTube video almost, like the way she was talking. It felt like watching a YouTube video. And yeah, like Nadia said, I'm already comfortable with my makeup, so just like seeing what else I could have learned.
Perfect. Yeah, like I enjoyed it a lot. It was really nice knowing what products she used and getting extra advice on how to apply my makeup. And I'll definitely be taking this one.
I was just gonna say that I love her energy because I feel like makeup is something that you could have fun with, and her energy kind of matched that, and I really liked it. She was really fun. She was very funny, and she was really interactive.
Thank you,
Thank
Miss
you, Miss
Akua.
Lakia.
Yeah.